Much more than entertainment.
Oh, I think that I found myself a cheerleader. She is always right there when I need her. Oh, me! See it happen on CVM TV. I'm out.
Turbulence to future, I'm have to end that CVM. See it happen. We've got the love others are searching for. I'm still loving you, even though you're gone. I could have been one of the most notorious. Keep it royal. Give thanks and praise for life. Thank you very much. Go bang!
Need to estimate your duty? Perform a track and trace? Search for a declaration?
Then download the Jamaica Customs mobile app today. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is
12 p.m.
Joining us for CVM News at noon. It's Monday, January 12, 2026. I'm Amoy Harriet. We begin with a CVM News follow-up. 2 Jamaica Defense Force soldiers detained in last week's major cocaine seizure in St. Andrew have been released after questioning, authorities have confirmed. However, Police Inspector Martin Walker, who was also arrested during the multi-million-dollar drug bust, has now been formally charged. Walker, who's assigned to the fraud squad within the counter-terrorism and organized crime branch, faces multiple charges, including conspiracy to export cocaine, possession, dealing and transporting cocaine. The inspector was taken into custody during a coordinated anti-narcotics operation along Moore Street in the Woodford Park area. Investigators say Walker was seen with 2 men near 3 vehicles, where officers later seized more than 12 pounds of cocaine valued at over $30 million, along with a firearm, ammunition, a police ID, and a cell phone. He's scheduled to appear in court on Wednesday. Meanwhile, detectives assigned to the Firearms and Narcotics Investigation Division have seized 28 firearms and more than 6,000 rounds of ammunition at the Kingston Logistics Center, marking one of the largest arms seizure at the port in recent years. Police say the investigation led to the arrest of 36-year-old Dean Lawrence, who's a member of the JDF, who has been charged with conspiracy to traffic prohibited weapons and unauthorized possession of ammunition. The JCF says its investigation remains ongoing, with further charges expected as efforts continue to dismantle illegal gun trafficking networks. It may sound unusual, but agricultural officers say it's a serious national concern following major losses caused by Hurricane Melissa. Jamaicans are being urged to help save the country's bee population by feeding them sugar water. The warning comes amid growing concern about food insecurity and rising prices. Kevin Black explains.
Authorities within the agricultural sector are calling on the public to place sugar water outside to help sustain bee population severely impacted by Hurricane Melissa. Dr. Derek Deslandes, president of the College of Agriculture, Science and Education case, says Melissa destroyed vegetation and displaced hives, leaving bees with little access to natural food sources.
There is not much food for the bee at this time, so the sugar water is basically to keep them alive until the vegetation improves, so they can basically acquire the food that they need. In the event of hurricane, every insect, every animal is looking for food, and the bee may become a food source for some other creature. Many of these the bee colonies will fly away trying to find other locations, and that sometimes can be very challenging.
He warns that continued decline in bee populations could lead to reduced agricultural output and higher costs for consumers.
There's no bee, then it impacts on the level of the production. So the bee impacts directly your productivity. If your productivity is affected, it also means less production. And less production means that there's a lower level of supply than demand, and that will drives prices.
Dr. Deslandes is encouraging Jamaicans to play an active role in protecting the species by supporting safe feeding practices and avoiding the use of harmful chemicals.
Well, you need to plant more bees and plant more trees. So provide food sources, and you also need to figure a way to move away from the harmful pesticides and to use more organic methods of growing and protecting your plants, so the bee have less chance of consuming that deadly poison, so to speak.
Kevin Black reporting for CVM News.
Jamaica will observe Earthquake Awareness Week from January 11 to 17 as the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, ODPEM, ramps up public education on earthquake preparedness under the theme Resilient Jamaica, We Weather the Storm and Brace for the Shake. The initiative comes as the island continues recovery from Hurricane Melissa, with ODPEM Director General Commander Alvin Gale warning that Jamaica remains vulnerable to seismic activity. Now, activities during the week include a national school earthquake drill, workplace preparedness exercises, and a live outside broadcast from ODPEM headquarters.
In 2025, we would have intensified drills across schools, businesses, hotels, ensuring that the tourism sector is quite prepared for these events. I would have been training for shelter managers in earthquake-specific procedures. We'd also certified these persons in the earthquake procedures. We would have looked at training emergency response teams and engage with the local media, to include the GIS, to ensure that clear guidance on how to operate before, during, and after earthquakes has been disseminated to the public at large. We continue to expand and will continue to expand into this season awareness campaigns in schools and all across sector to ensure that national preparedness is at a high.
Now we're going to talk more about earthquakes later on in our live segment in the newscast. To other news now, residents living in Hopewell, Hanover and its surrounding communities have expressed joy over the recent cleaning of the Orchard Beach located in Hopewell. Following the passage of Hurricane Melissa, movement at the beach had been restricted due to a massive pileup of garbage, fallen trees, large stones and shrubs. Now, political activist and social media blogger and businessman Craig Oates launched a cleanup campaign at the beach, which saw the area being restored to its original look. To other news, now National Integrity Action NIA has appointed Dr. Gavin Myers as its new Principal Director effective January 1, 2026. The announcement was made by NIA Chairman Dr. Lindeen Rose following the resignation of former Principal Director Daniel Archer. Now, Dr. Myers has a PhD in Management Studies from the Faculty of Business and Law, the Open University, United Kingdom, and a first degree in International Relations and Political Science from the University of the West Indies, Mona. Now, he has expertise in voluntary sector management, community outreach and development, and social entrepreneurship and innovation. He is also a certified restorative justice facilitator and has led community and social development projects in the Caribbean and the UK. Dr. Myers previously served at NIA as a community outreach officer and event coordinator between 2016 and 2020. NIA says it's confident that Dr. Myers' experience and training will strengthen the organization's leadership and advance its anti-corruption advocacy. The People's National Party (PNP) has expressed condolences following the passing of Ambassador Curtis Ward, describing him as a distinguished Jamaican diplomat and public servant. Opposition spokesperson on Foreign Affairs Donna Scott Motley said Ambassador Ward played a significant role in shaping national understanding of international affairs, noting his contribution to public discourse, policy development and Jamaica's global engagement. The PNP extended condolences to his wife, family, colleagues, and all those impacted by his work and service. To other news now, a single mother of two who was forced to seek refuge at the Petersfield shelter in Westmoreland after her home was destroyed by Melissa is now making an emotional appeal to the public for assistance. Shanique Johnson told CVM News that her life has been marked by tragedy following the killing of the father of her children 4 years ago. Since then, she says she has struggled to provide for her family. Her 9-year-old son, Anique Francis, who is a special needs child, lives with a feeding tube and also suffers from asthma and epilepsy. Johnson says his condition worsened while at the shelter after the feeding tube was accidentally removed. She's now appealing to members of the public for help to rebuild her family's home, as well as for food and clothing, as she struggles to cope in the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa. Now, if you are able to assist this mother, please contact our newsroom. And of course, we'll hear more from her story in CVM News at 7. And it's time now for a break, but stay with us. Our live interview comes up next.
Let's delve deep into the issues. We'll take you beneath the surface.
Greetings and salutations. My name is Orville Higgins, and it's another edition of Fan Central.
Talking to the people at the heart of the top sporting stories. Hear from your favorite sportsmen and women and the administrators who work tirelessly to make it all happen. It's a live sports talk.
I've written an entire article.
Yeah.
Looking at all the major issues every Tuesday at 9 p.m. It's Fan Central.
The internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winfred Williams.
At a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than entertainment.
Welcome back to CVM News at noon. Now, over the last several months, much of the national conversation has focused on hurricane preparedness. But because Jamaica hasn't experienced a major earthquake in some time, there's been far less discussion about earthquake preparedness, even though experts warn the risk remains. Now, as we observe Earthquake Preparedness Week, which, as we shared with you earlier, is January 11 to 17, we're taking a closer look at how ready the country really is. So joining us now via Zoom, our scientific officer at the Earthquake Unit at the University of the West Indies, Carleen Black, as well as Luke Buchanan, who is Executive Director of the Mona Geoinformatics Institute at UWI, the UWI Mona campus. Now, let's start with you, Mr. Buchanan, before we bring in Miss Black. So, mapping and data, which parts of Jamaica, based on the information you have, is most vulnerable?
All right, good afternoon, viewers. There are some active blocks across Jamaica. We have the Blue Mountain block, which is in eastern Jamaica, and these are active faults, as well as the Montpelier Newmarket Belt, which is across the St. Elizabeth and Hanover areas in western Jamaica. So those are the most active areas where earthquakes are concerned based on the fault activity.
So would you say that we have enough information to prepare enough or prepare adequately for a hurricane? Or is it that the real problem is that there isn't enough data being fully used at this time?
Yes, we do have enough information to prepare for earthquakes. We have institutions like ODPEN and as well as Earthquake Unit at the University of the West Indies. I think one of the areas that might be lacking are those public campaigns
that are required to get the information out to the general public.
So, what would you say is one practical action? Because we're talking about hurricane preparedness this week. What's one practical action you'd say by whether government or households that could significantly reduce damage or loss of life in a major quake? Since we're talking about earthquake preparedness, my correction.
All right, great. There are several things that you can do to prepare for earthquakes, right? In terms of there's preparation ahead of the earthquake, right? So there's seismic hazard assessment. I know that earthquake unit, this is a scientific deep science. They identify those hazard areas that are prone to floods, coastal areas that are prone to tsunamis, areas that are prone to landslides. You want to map and identify all of those areas. So some of these preparations are similar to hurricane preparedness. You want to look at where your shelters are, access routes. You want to conduct, for those corporations, you want to conduct building and infrastructure assessment, structural measures, update building codes, so that's at the national level. You want to make sure that development plans does consider earthquake preparedness. So
I was sharing earlier with our viewers that because we haven't seen a major earthquake happening in a while, from my recollection, I think the last time we had a major earthquake, at least major to my definition of major, was in I think October 2023 thereabout. However, I was doing a little bit of reading, and a few days ago an earthquake was reported here in Kingston and St. Andrew. How often do earthquakes actually occur in and around Jamaica, and why do so many of them go unnoticed by the major public, would you say?
Right. So Jamaica averages over 200 earthquakes per year. Last year, 2025, we got around 400. But most of these earthquakes are minor. The one that was experienced on October, and there's something about October, right? October 30, 2023 was a magnitude 5.4. And that there are several people, especially in eastern Jamaica, that was impacted significantly. So most of them are very, very non-significant based on its measurement on the Richter scale, which is a scale that is used to measure earthquake intensity.
So those minor earthquakes, since we have so many people saying that we haven't had a big earthquake in a long time, does that make us safer or more vulnerable?
No, it does not make us safer. Earthquakes have happened in the past. There's a massive earthquake from 1962. Everybody knows about the Great Kingston earthquake of 1907 and also the 1957 earthquake. And those would have claimed over 3,000 lives across Jamaica. What we have in the future now, in the current day, what we're seeing is that we have more sturdy buildings and people are more educated. But if we should get a particular earthquake, let's say the magnitude of 6 and beyond, there could be significant impact. So preparedness is key.
And how likely you think that is, a magnitude 6 earthquake?
You see, the thing about earthquakes, it is always earthquake season, right? Earthquake season is from January 1 to December 31st every year. So we have to be prepared. It is possible to get a significant earthquake, anything above the magnitude of 6. So we should always be prepared. We have 2 active fault lines, as I have outlined before, and it is quite possible. So we should always be prepared. We have not had anything significant in many decades. That does not mean that we should get complacent. We should always be prepared.
So, viewers, we introduced Miss Carleen Black earlier from the Earthquake Unit, but we are having some technical challenges getting in touch with her there. But Mr. Buchanan, based on the science, what would you say is the biggest misunderstanding that a lot of Jamaicans have about earthquakes and preparedness?
I think one of the biggest challenges is people not having this practical experience. And we could compare it to Hurricane Melissa, where a lot of the younger people now, even myself, I have not experienced any major earthquake outside of the October 2023 earthquake. So one of the things that we can do is to prepare more videos, look at earthquakes from other jurisdictions. For example, at the Mona Geoinformatics Institute here at the University of the West Indies, we have done simulations of the 2010 earthquake in Haiti, just to kind of project the impacts that it could have on Jamaica if we should have a similar earthquake in Jamaica. So it's a matter of looking at data across the globe in our region to see how Jamaica would be impacted.
And just before we go, how confident are you that if, God forbid, a major earthquake is supposed to happen, say, in the next coming days, in the next coming weeks, God forbid, we're not putting that out in the universe, how confident are you that given Jamaica's infrastructure, especially considering what happened a few months ago with Melissa,
right,
how prepared are we? How confident are you that we could actually survive this, or infrastructure could survive this?
All right, so the science is there.